What's up, everybody? Welcome to day 2 of MCP Dev Days. My name is Burke, as Mark said. Thank you, Mark and Katie. Y'all are awesome. All right, what are we going to do here? We are going to attempt to vibe code in MCP Server in, what do I have, 24 minutes? That's not enough time. I'm going to need like an additional 20 minutes here. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to try to pull this off, and I am going to add some constraints to myself here. So the first one is we're going to use GPT-4.1 for this. We're not going to use Claude. And the reason why we're going to do that is because in Copilot, Claude is considered a premium request. So you only have so many of those. 4.1 is included, so you have much more. We're also going to use a custom chat mode that's called Beast Mode. Custom chat modes are new in Visual Studio Code, and you can get this. It's just a prompt. If you come out to this blog post here that I made on Beast Mode, and then you just add it as a custom chat mode here under Configure Modes. All right, so with that set up, let's go ahead and see if we can start out and vibe code an MCP server from scratch. And I mean, when I say from scratch, I mean from scratch. There's nothing in this project, okay? We're starting from absolutely zero. What could go wrong? So first, I do want to say I'm going to use the Context 7 MCP server, which I've already installed. Context 7 is up-to-date documentation for LLMs and AI code editors. So in this case, for instance, if we want to create a model context protocol server, let's just look for it. You can see it's here in Context 7. So Context 7 has the latest docs for MCP, so we're going to use that, because otherwise what happens here, like if we go to, let me collapse this, and I'm actually going to open my chat in the editor space like this. What happens is, like, if we go to ask mode and we say, how do I build an MCP server? This is an ask mode. Here's the answer that we'll get back. To help you build a Minecraft protocol server, I need to clarify your intent. Well, that's not what we're trying to do at all. I don't even know if that's a thing. So why is this happening? Because it doesn't know what an MCP server is, and so this Context 7 is going to help define what that is. So how do we use this thing? Let's go and activate our Beast Mode here. And then what we're going to do here is I've got a prompt, so you don't have to watch me copy this in. And then I'm going to say use Context 7 to get the official MCP docs, and then create a simple MCP server using Node and TypeScript. So you can see that hash, I'm mentioning Context 7 specifically, right? And when I do that, it really forces the model to call the tool. And you can see it's doing that. So it's run get library docs. So it's looking for this MCP, the correct documentation for the model context protocol. And then it creates a to-do list, and it's going to go about and try to start doing these things. And there's quite a few steps here, right? This is kind of a heck of a one-shot because we are starting from zero. So it's going to need to initialize the project. It's going to need to add, let's see what it's going to do here. It wants to create a new directory. It's going to have to initialize that. It wants to install the required dependencies, set up TypeScript configuration, implement a simple MCP server with a tool, which adds 2 numbers and a resource, a greeting by name. Okay, interesting, because I didn't ask for any of that. And then it's going to have to build it and verify that there are no errors. So what it's doing now is it is looking for the correct version of packages. It's run into some errors, and it's trying to repair itself here. So again, we're vibe coding, so we're just kind of letting the agent cook here. And watching its progress. So let me bump up the font a little bit here. So let's come over here, and it looks like it's made it all the way through already. So let's look at what it's generated. So it's added, let me see if I can make this so everybody can see it. I'm not accepting this yet, which is why it's all green. So you can see it's added all of the dependencies. Here's the tools. Is this right? I have no idea, right? This is the point, is that we're coding from scratch. We don't know anything about MCP servers. So I don't know, looks right, maybe it's right. Let's go back and actually try it out here. So let's go back to our chat and just check what's it telling us. Oh, okay, it did start the server. I'm gonna go ahead and stop this, and then it should come back and tell us it's now fully set up and it's working. All right, so how do we verify that that's actually the case? Well, we need to use it. So let's do that. I'm gonna open up the command palette here, and let's just say MCP add server, and we're gonna say node because it's a node thing. Oh, wait, command, there we go. Then we're gonna say node. And then we're gonna call it, I'm gonna call it LIFX because eventually that's gonna be the name of it. I'll explain that here in a minute. And let's press enter, we'll put it in the workspace. And here's what we get. So it says it's running. This is actually not true. It isn't running just yet. So we need to come down and actually tell it where the MCP server is. So if we come here to our file explorer, it's in the dist folder and it's index.js. So we can just say dist index.js. This is enough for this to work. All right, and then let's restart the server here like this. And you can see it's discovered one tool. So if we come back to our chat here, if we open up the tools, you can see right here, add two numbers. How do we use this thing? We can just say add 2 and 4. Now, I don't actually know if this will work because it might just try to add them. Yeah, so it knows what that is. But if we say add 2 and 4, then it will force it to call the MCP server here. And all right, we're done. Session's over. Took me 6 minutes to vibe up an MCP. Let's do something a little more interesting. Can we, in 18 minutes, create an MCP server that controls this light bulb? Let's find out. So how are we going to do that? Well, this, my friends, is an LIFX bulb. LIFX is a wide open API. They've got a beautiful line of lights and hardware and a wide open API, and that's the important part. And you can see that this is their documentation here. And we can do things like turn the light on and off, so we can turn it on. We can set the color to red, and then let's just go ahead and do it. And now it's red. All right, so we want to make this work so the agent can actually do this. The problem is that this is not on context 7. So if we look for LIFX, we'll see the LAN docs, but we won't see the HTTP REST API docs, which is what we need. That's okay. So what we're going to do here is something a little bit different. So I'm going to come and grab this prompt, and then let's go back to our project here. So here's our chat. Let me paste this in. So what we're going to do is I'm going to tell it, go crawl the LIFX docs and modify this MCP server to be an LIFX MCP server. Include only the major API endpoints for now, because there's a lot of API endpoints. And then I'm telling it, here's how I'm going to pass the auth token. All right, so let's go ahead and send this. Now, one of the things that this custom chat mode does is that it instructs 4.1 on how to use the internet. And you'll notice that it's not asking me for permission to do any of this stuff, it's just doing it, right? If it needs to search Google, it just searches Google. If it needs to recursively fetch other pages, it just does that. And that's what it's doing right now. It's going out and saying, oh, here's all these documentation, right? If we look here, we've got all these different pages, like set state, set delta, toggle power. It actually has to navigate to that page to understand how to call that API endpoint. And that's what it's doing. It's just recursively going through and calling these things. Now, one of the limitations of 4.1, as you're seeing right here, right now, is that it sometimes says, next I will do this, and then it doesn't actually do that thing. And so that just happened. That's okay. We'll just say continue and let it kind of continue on here. So the next thing it's going to have to do is update our index file here. So let's go ahead and kind of watch this thing work. It's going to have to take the code that's in here, which is our demo server, which has add tools, and it's going to have to swap this out for the LIFX endpoints and expose those from the MCP server instead of just this simple add or echo tool that it's got in there now. Now, when you see the AI kind of hang like this, see it says now I will make the, and it's just kind of stuck there. What's actually happening is it's generating a large response on the model, and that's kind of what we're waiting for. So in a second, this will return, and we'll see what it actually does next here. What's kind of interesting about this whole process is that the LLM is having to do a bit of reasoning about what to do, how to proceed next, right? Because we're moving in steps. We could have just one-shotted and said, create the whole MCP server, here are the docs. But instead, we're moving sort of one step at a time and saying, do this, make sure that works, and then do this. Now, while this is cooking here, something else I want to show you is that when you are building an MCP server in Visual Studio Code like I'm doing right now, one of the things that you're going to want to do at some point is debug the thing. And you can do that. So in your configuration, if you come and say dev here, and then in the settings, we have this debug and watch. So let's grab the debug here, debug. And then for the debug, what do we have? There's a couple of different settings here, I think. One of them is, let's see, debug type here is node, and then the path is the path to the thing that we actually want to debug, right? And so let's see here, path, debug, that's debug py path. But anyway, we're debugging here. We can debug by setting this to node, and then we can go ahead and use some breakpoints here. Let's go ahead and turn off our completions. There we go. And it looks like this is taking longer than I think it probably should. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this. And then I'm just going to come back and say continue. Let's see if we can get the model to continue on here. And then, all right, so now we're moving. Actually stealing my focus. So the other thing that we're going to have to do here is we're going to have to pass in our API key to the MCP server. So while this is cooking over here, let's go ahead and grab that key. We can get that here. Let's go to authentication, account settings. Let's do generate a token. We'll call this please work, don't embarrass me. Perfect. Here's our token. It's fine. I'll delete it after this session is over. And then we could put it right here. Let's make sure we're still cooking. All right, so we could put it right here in the args, but what we probably should do instead, so we don't end up like pasting plain text keys into our code, is here, let's just do type. We're gonna create an input for this thing. Here's our description. It's gonna be our LIFX token, that's correct. Completion's helping me out a lot here. LIFX, that's correct. And then lastly, password is true. All right. And so now we can actually use this thing like this. That's true. And so we've got our token here that we're ready to pass to the LIFX MCP server, provided that our model finishes up over here and actually gets us something working. So let's see where we are, what we're doing. Looks like it's trying to work through some syntax errors. Let me move down. Yep. I see what's happening here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to stop this. And let's go ahead and keep. And then what we want to do, I'm going to come back to my index file. And what's happened is that the model, right, if we grab this, has just kind of put the code in the wrong place. So I'm watching the code come in, and it's putting the code above the imports, which models seem to want to do. Although you can see that it's put the list lights and the set state down here. So this actually looks like it looks like it kind of should work. Here's the greeting that it added, which we don't need. And then let's come up here, and it looks like this add, this was the add, the demo. We also don't really need this. So let's pull this out. And then this looks pretty good. I actually kind of want to test this. So we need to build it. So let's come over here and just run build, npm run build. And we build. It's a good sign. All right, now, the question is, are we passing in the token on, we are, but it's called LIFX. Okay, so this is really good. We need this. And then let's come back here, and then it's gonna need to look like this, I think. Now, provided we've done all this correctly, let's try to start this. And now it's asking us for our token. Let's go get that thing here. We'll paste it in, hit enter. And we got an error, but that's a good starting point. So we can work from here. So it looks like it says LIFX token must be passed as, oh, it must be passed like this. Like this, maybe? Like this. Just restart. Let's see here. It looks like we're passing it correctly. Let's do this. Let's just go ahead and feed this back to the LLM. And it has the context of our configuration here, so it should be able to tell us what we're doing incorrectly. Let's see what it says. I will now read the contents of index to make sure that we're handling the token correctly. Your token is being read correctly. it wants to change that line. Let's see here. Doop, doop, doop. Remove the trailing comma. All that looks good. So let's go back here. Let's keep this. Let's see if this actually works. And we'll restart. Doop, doop, doop. You know what I want to do here? I think it's probably better if we just say that, like, let's make it so the token is not a named param, just passed in on the command line. It's a little confusing here with the -- LIFX token. So let's just pull that out, and let's see what it does here. That looks better. I like that. Let's keep this. Let's keep all this. I'm just sort of keeping the changes. Let's go back to our configuration. And then here now it should just be, yeah, that's correct. So it should just be our token, just like that. All right, so now we can build, npm run build, and restart. And we're running and we have 2 tools. All right, so we have successfully vibed up an LIFX MCP server here. What are the 2 tools that we have? Let's take a look. Hit the tools. This tools button right here, y'all, is where you find all of your MCP servers. These ones at the top are built in, and then if you go down, you'll see, like, remember how we talked about context 7? That's right here. And then look, here we have LIFX list lights and set lights. So first of all, before we do anything else, we need to stage and commit. So I'm just gonna say stage and commit here. This is how I work with Git now. With agent mode, I don't actually go to the source control view. I just tell the AI to do it because it's perfectly aware of what's been changed and it can go ahead and stage and commit the changes. Now, what's interesting here though is that we didn't actually init, right? There's no Git repository. So it looks like it's gonna let's see if we can figure that out. All right, so it wants me to create it. So let's just do that. We'll just git init and then we'll run this again. We'll stage and commit. And then we'll start a new chat. So you can see here, right, it's updated, we've staged everything, we're good to go, very nice. Now that we've done that, we can start a new chat here. And what I'm gonna do is just say list lights, or I'm gonna call it specifically, and just see if it can list out the lights that I currently have. And it can, so what do we have here? Right, so we have the lamp and another light that I have. So now here comes the real test. Can we say, turn the lamp off? And will it work? Yo, success. All right, let's do it again. All right, let's say turn it on and set the color to blue. Hey, okay. Now, why would we even do this? Well, first of all, it's really, really cool to let the agent control things in the physical universe. So for instance, I could say, hey, yo, agent, bro, my name is Burke. Based on what you know about me, set the lamp to my aura. Let's see what it actually does here. We were doing this yesterday, giving it pictures and telling it, oh, it set it to a vibrant blue to represent my aura. What does vibrant blue mean? Oh, calm, wisdom, and communication. That's definitely me. There's no doubt about that. Thank you, gaslighting LLM. All right, so let's do something more useful though. It would be nice if, what if this LLM, Copilot would notify us whenever it's finished working. We could do that. We can do that with a custom instruction. So let's add a custom instruction. So we'll do configure instructions. There we go, instructions. Configure instructions. We want a new instructions file, and we're gonna put it in our user data folder so it's available to everyone, every project on this machine. And then we're just gonna call it notify. And then in here, what we're gonna say is, whenever you finish your turn, make sure to use the set, what is the name of that tool? Is it set state? Make sure to use the set state tool to change the color of the lamp, of the light bulb, of the lamp the lamp to let the user know that you are finished with your turn. All right. Now, because instructions are included with every single chat request, this instruction will get included every time we ask the agent to do something. So let's go back here and let's ask it to do something. Let's say, hey, yo, buddy, please create, and I don't know, maybe it already did this. Did it give us a README file? It did not. Please create a comprehensive README for my project. And then let's just see what happens here. And so it's going to go out and it's going to research best practices for READMEs, which is a good thing to do, y'all. Don't be out there just willy-nilly writing READMEs without researching README best practices. But this is part of the chat mode that I've created. I've instructed it to always use best practices. And if you don't know what those are, then use the fetch tool to go out and do some Googling and learn about best practices. And so that's what it's doing now. It's going to create a README. And now the question is, will it call our MCP server when it's done, as we've asked it to? Yes, it did. And it turned the lamp green to let us know that it was finished. So in this way, right now, we can work with the agent. We can go on and do other things. And if we have this lamp on our desk, we just sort of watch the lamp, and the lamp turns on and off to let us know that something has changed, which is really, really cool. So you can build MCP servers to do anything at all, right? It's not just about connecting to a database. It's not just about controlling a browser. Those are all cool things, but any API is now usable. And we could continue to build out this MCP server, right? Like, what other features could we add here? We do want to keep, and we want to stage and commit as we do. But what we could do is we could say, go back to context 7 and say, look up how to use prompts with MCP server and add to our project here. And so we might want to include some prompts for the user out of the box. And again, we're going to go back, right? We're starting with the looking up what the authoritative information is there. And again, beast mode is going to Google because that's what it's been instructed to do. And it's going to come back and try to create a prompt in our MCP server here. So the great thing about MCP servers is that they're so easy to build because it's almost like, because it's a tool that the server calls, it's really easy for the server to build a thing. And because it's a specification, it's a very defined thing, right? If you said, go out and build a website, that's a very undefined thing, but a spec is a very defined thing. So it looks like it's added some prompts here, but we can continue to build this out and make this the best MCP server out there. And in fact, as you might have guessed, if you would like to, you can go to github.com/myself, and there is an LIFX MCP server already out here that you can use yourself. Let's see here. There's Monkey MCP. I know who made that one. Right here, V2 is the one you want. No, V1. V2, V1, and it's private. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna make it public right now for everybody. Watch this, look at this, just for you. If you wanna grab one of these light bulbs, you can, and you can make the agent talk to your light bulb whenever it's done making changes, or just have fun with it. So there you go. I'll make that public. Y'all can use that. One final note, if you wanna use beast mode like I just did with 4.1, if you just go to burkholland.github.io, you'll see the link to install that. And again, why do we do that? Because 4.1 is unlimited here, right? It's included. It's not a premium, it's not considered a premium model. So if you can stick with 4.1 and do things and only engage Claude for the really difficult stuff, you can really save your premium request and you can get a ton of mileage out of 4.1. It is an outstanding model and it is crazy fast. Look at what we were able to do in 20 minutes. Thanks for watching. I hope that you enjoyed watching me try to vibe something up in real time. That's real life right there. Thank you, chat, folks. And with that, I'm gonna throw it back to, James Montemagno in the studio.
The boys are back. Good to see you again, Burke. I love that. I'm glad that you got it connected to the internet. We do have a few questions here. And yes, I'm James Montanino, back as your host today, along with Burke, who will be joining us here in a second, or now-ish. I don't know. We'll see. A lot of this is amazing. Wow, Burke, you're amazing. We love you, Burke. Burke, wow, amazing. Wow, Burke, wow, so cool. Boom.
It's really good for my ego. Keep going. Read more of those.
Although, the poll says, where are all your stickers on your laptop? That poor laptop.
No. We keep this nice and clean and pristine. Do not do that to your laptop.
I don't know about that. Ruben, shout out to Ruben in the chat.
Yo, what's up, Ruben?
You can chat live on YouTube or Twitch. Also, if you're on socials, hashtag MCP Dev Days, they come up on the Tags app. Ruben, is there a good way of testing and expecting MCP servers? You know, you've added them into your mcp.json, but are there other ways of testing them locally as a developer on your machine?
Yeah, so what I did over here with, we didn't actually do it, but you can come and on the dev, right, dev. It's called dev, right here. And then see the watch and the debug type here. So if we do this, and then if we actually started this up, and we're missing a bracket, I think, yes. Then what would happen is it would engage the debugger and we can actually add a breakpoint. In fact, do you want me to do that? Look, watch this. Look, Ruben, I got you. Watch this. I'm gonna drop a breakpoint.
Drop it in.
Right there.
Boom.
Let's go back. Let's hit debug. And boom, it hits our breakpoint and we're debugging, right? So this is all built into VS Code and it just works. Y'all, it just works.
And you can also use something like MCP Inspector as well if you want like a GUI interface as well.
True.
So that's also a nice option too, and that's just an NPM package that you can grab. Also from the Model Context Protocol organization, so you can grab that too. Other questions over here. We're doing this a lot in VS Code. Does it all work in Visual Studio or Cloud Desktop? MCP servers that work everywhere?
That's the magic of MCP servers, is that they do work everywhere. Now, can you build an MCP server in Cloud Desktop? I don't know. I don't think so. You definitely can in Visual Studio, without a doubt. Like somebody should go do this in like C# or something, and then you'll have a C# MCP server for LIFX.
In fact, Mike's going to be coming up next talking about the C# SDK and all the new stuff as well. So a little there. Mega says they don't have beast mode. How do they get beast mode?
Beast mode, yeah, we talked about that. Again, this is just a chat mode. So you just go to here, configure modes, create a new custom chat mode, call it whatever you want, right? Here's one called Steve. And then you just paste in a prompt. That's all it is. So if you come here, this is beast mode, click on this gist, and then it's just this whole thing right here, just raw, copy paste it, boom, 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 boom. And you have beast mode, or in this case, Steve mode.
Let's do a shout out really quick to the awesome GitHub Copilot repo on the GitHub org, and also promptboost.dev from Oren. We had him on the live stream recently.
Yeah, you can get it there
about
too.
That too.
Yeah, if you just go to promptboost.dev and you search for beast mode, thank you.
Should be in there.
Right there.
And then additionally, I'm not 100% sure if chat modes, I have to check with the team if chat modes are in Visual Studio 2022 or not. I'll ask the team. I'll go to the developer community and check that out. One question here, we get this a lot from Ina. They ask, a lot of tools, let's say you're creating these tools, you know, like for your LIFX, you could have probably created like 1,000 tools for that. Like how many tools can be called? Are there limitations? Are there other things? Like what are some thoughts there?
Wow, that's actually a very prescient question. In Visual Studio Code, you're limited to 128 tools with requests. And we actually know that the agent response degrades, or the model response degrades, the more tools that you pass. So you want to have as few tools as possible. Now, just yesterday, Kent C. Dodds is here and pointed out to me that he pointed out to me that my team shipped what's called virtual tool in Visual Studio Code, where basically we just say, instead of saying, here's Playwright and the 86 tools that are in Playwright, it's just Playwright. And then when you use it, the model will actually ask, what tools do I have to use? And then we'll get a response that says, well, there's 86 and these 4 have to do with navigation, and then it can pick from that. So we're working on ways of making it so that you don't have to manage all of the MCP servers in the editor.
Yeah, should just work, right?
Should just work, correct. You shouldn't have to worry about that. We're working on it.
And you can create tool sets and the modes themselves. Like you saw beast mode, you could say, oh, I want to have a mode specifically for doing end-to-end testing that only have like the Playwright ones and don't even.
Correct. You can specify the tools up here in the front matter, as I'm doing right here, as you can see, right there.
Awesome. All right, Burke, this was amazing. Go check out his LIFX MCP server and start to build your own. In fact, we have an entire beginner series on the Microsoft Developer YouTube right here, so you can go all of it.